Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to start on lesson 14. So with lesson 14, this one, uh, so we're going to create an interactive PDF. It's weird because you're doing a lot of work, but you can't really see it when it comes to like drop down combo boxes, hyperlinks, things like that. So it seems odd when we're doing it. I did it a couple times when I was in an office, just for like, and choosing salesperson of the month or whatever. Or we did like, what should the theme of the party for the office be? Like, choose from one of these. So I did like an interactive PDF like that. I also did an interactive PDF to set up for requests for design work. So that's partly when I was building the graphics department for Wells Fargo's insurance division. That was something that we used as a base for the job intake online. But I created something as interactive in case someone didn't want to walk across the office, which I get. But also I had printed versions. But a lot of people actually really did kind of cling to that interactive PDF. And I sent it to some other offices that they could use it with designers as well, until we ended up building a national office. And then we didn't have to worry about that because they had to go to a specific website to do a request. But so I've done it on that level. And then there was at one point, like kind of shortly after we built the department, that what ended up being my boss's boss, she had called me and just said, "Hey, I've got this project I need you to do," and it was an interactive PDF for truckers, like rigs, for if they get into a wreck. And it took me 3 days, and I was doing 8-hour shifts, nine to five, the 8 to 5 kind of thing. But it took me 24 hours total to create this PDF because it was like naming everything so that I knew what was what. And we're going to look at that aspect of it. But like, if there were, three officers on the scene, you had to have that information for each officer, their badge number, things like that. If there were multiple people involved in the accident, if there were four, I needed the name, the home address, the city, state, zip code, phone number for those different people. And I had to organize things in a certain way. So it's a little bit of like a time consuming part, but um, that naming aspect, that's the biggest part. So I will definitely preface this with, if you ever run across this and you're completely intimidated, let me know, because I've done this. I've done it on a very small scale, and I've done it at a really big scale that took me 3 days to do. And it worked out great. They were really happy, but I was the only person on my team that knew how to do this. And that's why I got the request to do it. So, but this is a really fun thing. I do recommend, if you're interested in like really getting the hang of it, just to repeat the lesson a little bit. Maybe afterwards, create your own interactive PDF. But it doesn't export the same way. And we'll talk about that. Okay. All right. So, and this will be the last lesson, but this is the most fun one. Everybody loves this. It's really, really fun. So I'm going to go ahead and start out. I've got InDesign set. So I'm going to go File. I'm going to open my InDesign file, navigate to my lesson 14, and we're going to open up the start file. Okay. So lesson 14, start. All right. So this is actually a one-page document, and this is a kind of like a request thing that we'll send to someone. We're actually just going to take a look at this purple space here. All right, so I'm going to click and zoom in. So what we're going to do is take a look at interactive aspects of InDesign. The first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to change our workspace. So I think it might have been Jerry, but I know one of y'all. We talked about like how like switching things around. It could have been Silas too. I don't know. It was like almost a month ago, but we talked about like somebody ran into a spot where the panels changed. So it was something different, and it turns out it was a workspace thing. So I'm going to show you guys kind of how to walk through that as well in terms of changing your workspace. So we're going to go to the window. Once you have it open, we're going to go to the window menu at the top. So go to window, and the second option there is workspace. So we've looked at this before. So There's different ones. It says advanced, book, digital publishing, essentials, essentials classic, interactive PDF, printed proofing, review, and typography. So for I don't want to show you guys because if I jump over, for me, essentials is my default. So if I switch to that, all the panels on my right side disappear because they're on a separate screen. So that's my space that I work in. So for the class, I keep essentials classic, but you'll see that there's some options here based on what you want to do. So if you're going to create a digital publishing piece, you might change over to that. And what it's going to do is that just, we're not going to switch to that one, don't worry. But it's going to change up your panels, your default panels, so that you have some other panels that you would normally use that are going to be there ready to use. What we're going to end up switching to is the interactive PDF. So again, we're going to go to the window menu at the top. We're going to go to workspace, and then we're going to choose interactive PDF. And we already have our lesson file open. Oh yeah, this guy, he must have gone out. Why are you floating out here? You're not supposed to float there. Switch it to what you guys see. There we go. I had it floating, I guess, for a class. Okay, so what you're going to notice on your panels on the right-hand side is that they changed. The only thing that really changed is it added a bunch of stuff. So we have pages, we have links, layers, we have color, stroke, gradient, swatches. Oh, we didn't have gradient before, but no big deal. So a lot of them are the same that we've had. However, we have page transitions, which is kind of cool. We're working with one page document, so we're not worried about that. But it does like some cool ways to make change transitions if you have a multi-page document. As we go down, not CC libraries, but there are hyperlinks. So it's exactly what you think it is. Someone could click on a link and it'll take them to a website. We have bookmarks if somebody's going to bookmark. But the most important one is the one at the very, very bottom. It says buttons and forms. It's pretty much where we're going to be 90% of the time when we're creating stuff. There is also a panel that kind of sits on the side, and it's called sample buttons and forms. If during the lesson you lose that panel, let me know. Just interrupt me and let me know because I know where it's at and I can get it back for you. It's not a big deal. It's just if you lose it, you don't know where it's at. I just happen to know where it's at because I've lost it several times. So, but anyways, we're going to end up in buttons and forms most of the time for this part of the lesson. But that workspace can be helpful. So if you're at work and they're like, hey, can you make a PDF that people can fill stuff out in? This is what you can do. You just switch your workspace. You've got the buttons and forms and you're good to go. Okay. First thing that we're going to look at when we're looking at our document now is you're going to notice that all these boxes, they have a little symbol in the lower right. So when something's interactive, it's actually going to have an icon that tells you what it is. These are text fields. So they're not text frames. They're different. The white box that's to the right of the submit button, that's a text frame. But these others are not text frames. Okay. So that little icon with the cursor in a box, it's just a text frame. That's telling InDesign that this is meant to be an empty box that when it goes into the PDF, somebody can type into it. And it's awesome because we don't have to do a lot of thought process to it. There's not programming, or anything like that. Back when they first introduced this stuff, it was not easy to find where everything is. So I love that about 5 years ago, they did this buttons and forms. And it's really, really made this way easier to do as a designer. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a couple of text frames, and then we're going to convert them to text forms, I think is what they call them. I think they're text forms. So I'm not terribly worried about how perfect these text frames look. I just want to make sure that we get something in there, okay? So let's go ahead and go over to our type tool on the left-hand side on our toolbar. Let's start with last name. Some people have really long last names. Mine is not. It's not terribly long. I think it's a medium length. It's a good size, 7 letters. But we're going to draw a text frame, and we're going to reuse those smart guides. Remember the green lines that appear. So it needs to be about the same height as the first name, and then we're going to have it line up with these the other boxes down here at the far right. Okay. So I'm going to take my cursor. I'm going to put it under last name, and I'm going to click in. Why are you not clicking in drawing? Oh, I bet you that layer is locked. Nope. I should be able to. Oh, yes. So there is a frame back there and it's locked. Really? Is that what they're doing to me? Remember, this is a new version of this lesson. So I'm trying to. Okay, so they locked something there. Gotcha. Okay, I see what they're doing. All right. Ah, they're the worst. I can't believe they did that to me. Yep. Ah, okay. Well, I'll just do it their way then. Normally I have. No, actually, you know what? I'm not going to do that. That's. I'm thinking for a second. Okay, we'll do it their way, and then because I want to make sure you see how to convert a text frame into something, but I know how that gets done too. Okay, let's do this. They locked an element, and I'm really mad because that feature won't let me draw a text frame. That's why we can't draw it. I don't want to go through the process of unlocking that element. Let's just not worry about it. So we're gonna duplicate where it says first name. Okay. So let's go ahead. Nothing is selected. So we're going to take our selection tool, the black arrow. We're going to select where it says first name. So just select that type frame, type box. It's type box. We'll find out in a second. It's a text field. Okay. We're going to duplicate it. So remember, duplicate, hold down the Alt key on a Windows machine. On Mac, it's the Option key. So you'll have that double-headed arrow. You'll see the black and the white arrows. Just click. Remember, holding shift allows you to move things on a linear basis at 45-degree angles too. So again, we're going to hold the Alt or Option key. We're going to click. I'm going to hold the shift key to make it go straight across. I'm going to line it up with that last name box on the left side. And then go ahead using your selection tool, just grab that right side of the panel or of the field and just pull it so it lines up with the right side of the others. That's the smart guides. Remember those green lines that pop out, they're helping you out. They're very helpful like that. All right. So we duplicated that one. We're going to do the same thing for email. It's right below city. We're going to duplicate the city box. So with your selection tool, the black arrow, go ahead and select that frame, that field. Hold the Alt key or Option key, and then drag that straight down until it lines up with the bottom of the email box, email name box. All right, I'm going to do that again for the video. So Alt or Option. I like to hold the Shift key as well, so go straight down. I'm going to release the keyboard, release the mouse. Or release the mouse, release the keyboard. And then go to Edit and deselect all. All right. Remember, y'all, let me know if it's not working for you, okay? All right, so there you go. If you create, I like to have people see how to create something from scratch, which we're gonna look at that text frame and how to convert it later. But hey, look, if you created a text form or a text field, just duplicate it and make your, save yourself a little bit of sanity. All right. We do have to name things though. I keep telling y'all naming things is super important, and it is very important. So let's take our selection tool and we're going to choose that first name text field. Okay. Just select the text field. Next, I want you to click on buttons and forms. I love this panel, honestly, for this purpose. It is a really, really, really great way to, so simple. It just simplifies everything to create these like fields and buttons and things. Okay. So when we're looking at this one, we selected the text field that's underneath the word's first name. So when we look inside this panel, you're going to see where it says type and it says text field. Go ahead and click the arrow. I just want to show you everything that's there. So there's buttons, there's a PDF only. I don't know what that is. We can make check boxes, combo boxes. By the way, this drop down menu, it's called a combo box. I don't mean the combo box from Taco Bell. I mean this. But that's why I kept saying that throughout this class is I'll be like, hey, click on this little arrow thing and drop down the combo box. This is a combo box. And we're going to create a combo box a little bit later. We also have a list box, radio buttons, which we're going to look at, signature field, and so on. So There's like cool things that you can actually create, and InDesign already creates them for you. You just have to convert something into it. So that something tends to be a text frame. Actually, it is a text frame. But we're going to leave this one as a text field. Underneath that, you see name. So it actually says first name. At one point in this lesson, we're going to talk about the tab order. And that's where names become super duper important because you don't know what things are. If you like, I don't know what text field one, text field two is, but I do know what first name, last name is, and I know what order they should go with. So pay attention to the name. You need to name what they are. Okay. Event, we're going to talk about that later. Actions, again, that's going to come up a little bit later. PDF options, description, first name. I'm going to tell you guys about my friend, Blind Jeff. And I kid you not, that's what we call him. His name is Jeff. Jeff is probably in his late 20s. I just heard that he got engaged recently. I'm super proud of him. So Jeff started going blind when he was 17. So if you tell him the color red, he knows what red looks like. And we're huge Star Wars nerds. But if you tell him about all the sequel movies or the Bad Batch cartoon series or the Ahsoka series or the Mandalorian series, he literally has not seen them because he can't see. And it's a visual deterioration in his eyes. It sucks, but he's a wonderful and nice guy. I love Blind Jeff, and I've literally been in a hotel lobby and yelled out Jeff, and he turned and he goes, "Is that Paul?" And he recognized my voice, and so Blind Jeff knows that I call him Blind Jeff, and he knows that I talk about him in my lessons, and he thinks it's awesome. So why do I bring this up? Blind Jeff can't see, so on his phone and on his computer, he has what's called a visual reader, and it reads everything to him. And that's what the description is. So as we're doing this lesson, I'll be like, "Hey, Blind Jeff needs to know that this is the box for your first name." And that's why I talk about him. It's because he's a real person, and I've watched him at a convention sit there with the phone up against his ear. And I thought, like, he's listening to a voicemail. No, he's literally listening to like a page reader go through and read what's on the screen, and because he can't see it. So we got to think about these elements. I think it's called a 508. It's a government thing where websites and digital material have to be legible to blind individuals. So just make sure you put a description in there. It doesn't have to be something over the top. These check boxes. So do you want this to be printable or not? So if somebody has to put in, I'm going to use the extreme example of their social security number. You do not want that to print because that's a privacy thing, so you can actually keep information from printing. If you want something to be required before they save or send something to you, you can check the checkbox. I will warn you that it puts a border around it, and if I remember, it's red. Normally people don't like that. So when I did incorporate that, they told me to get rid of it. And when I did, I just said, "Hey, man, that they don't have to fill everything out. Then, like, you're gonna miss information that it won't be included." And the person was fine. They just explained that as well. You can make something password protected. You can also make certain boxes read only. I don't know why you would want to put something there that's read only. Maybe it's the office use only section. Multi-line, it's really weird, but if you don't check this box for certain sections, it'll just keep going off into the distance in the horizon, and you can't see everything you're typing. So this allows like your text to hit the end of a box and then drop to the next line. Okay, so that's the multi-line. And then scrollable, this allows someone to enter a whole lot of information into a box, and it'll allow it to scroll up and down or left to right if you need. So like the crash form that I created, I had description boxes. So they were multi-line so that you could make multiple lines. And they were scrollable because someone's going to fill out a whole lot of information in there. So that's what these check boxes are. And then the font. This actually they updated about like 4 years ago, maybe 3. And man, it is so much better than it used to be. But you can choose any of your fonts that you have on your computer. You could choose the styles, and while the limitation on the combo box options, there's only 4, not including auto, you can actually type in a size in there. And what that'll do is that dictates the specific font and size that is going to be produced inside that box if the person has that font on their system. So definitely don't use customized special fonts. So that's what this box is. It's pretty simple. It will change based on what your interactive piece is. If it's a button, if it's a combo box, if it's a list, checkbox, things like that. Okay. So everything's pretty simple. Let's go ahead and keep going forward. So we're going to take our selection tool, the black arrow, and we're going to choose last name. I am looking at the time. Honestly, this lesson is pretty, I'm not going to say intense, but it's not that bad. But I would rather just not even do the break. Let's just get through the lesson because you guys will get really invested in this about halfway through. By the time we actually jump over and start doing all the stuff on the right hand side, you're going to be like, I don't want to break. I just want to go through this. So we'll just go through the lesson and then we'll finish out the class. Okay. So when we click on the last name, we're going to look at our buttons and forms panel. So just click on to select it. You're going to see that it's a text field, but you're also going to see that it says first name one. This isn't a first name, this is last name. So let's go ahead and name it correctly. So let's change first name one to last name. With that said, let's say that you have information boxes and you're going to have like three different people. Well, there will be first name one, last name one, address one, a city one, state one. And then for the second person, first name two, last name two, this is organization. So like I said, I did this form in 3 days because that is what took the most time was naming everything correctly. Okay. Again, if you get into like a crazy scenario like this, let me know and I'll help you out. So we're going to change the name to last name so that we know what it is. We don't need to change the event or add any actions, but we do need to change the description for Blind Jeff so that he knows this is where he puts his last name. Okay. All right. So pretty simple so far. Don't forget we did the email address. So we're going to click on that, the box for the email address. Same thing. We're going to leave it as a text field. And then for the name, instead of city, this is going to be email. And Blind Jeff needs to know that this is where his email goes. All right. So pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And so, like I said, when we get to this text frame on the right-hand side, we'll look at how we do conversions, like converting a text frame into some sort of interactive piece. But we're going to take a look now to the right-hand side where it says, in what way are you best able to help? So what we're going to put there is called radio buttons. Now, what sucks is you actually see the radio buttons over here on the right-hand side. Wow, it even has some other stuff. Okay, I hate when they do that. So, but I want you all to not use those. I want to show you where those came from. Okay. So you should have what's called sample buttons and forms. If you do not see that little panel piece there, please let me know in the chat. I can tell you where it's at. It's actually, in case you guys ever need to see, it's in the panel menu for the buttons and forms. So it's actually inside that panel menu if you ever lose it. But there is a panel there. I'm going to extend this out. This thing is super freaking cool. I love it. So it's got check boxes, even with stars. It's got what are called radio buttons. You ever been on a form where you can only choose one option? So if you change, it like unchecks the previous selection and then checks the one you just checked. That's called a radio button. It also has just regular buttons. It's even got arrows that are already predetermined to go to the next page. So you can actually do page navigation inside a PDF. These things are super cool. And what's great is that if you bring them, once you bring them into your document, inside that buttons and forms panel, you can actually change some of what they do. That's the actions. For this one, we're going to pull out the sample button that's 018. It's these purple ones. Now, here's the crazy thing. Okay, so you're going to pull them out. These things are massive. I mean, what you see in your pasteboard, those three purple buttons, that's the radio button, and that's how big they are. So when you bring them out, I want you to line them up with the left side of that gutter, okay, right underneath, we're going to line it up at the top of the text frame that says education, garden maintenance, and financial donations. I want the top of the radio buttons to line up with that one, with that text frame. And then I want the left side of those radio buttons to line up with that purple margin. That's the side of the gutter, or the side of the column. So we're going to line up the left side there and the top with the red text frame, okay? So I'm just going to click and drag. It's going to pull all three buttons out at one time because they're connected together. So don't freak out. Just take your time and be patient, okay? So I have my sample buttons and forms panel open. I can see the 018. I'm just going to click and drag this out. Give your computer a moment to think so it brings it out. Then I'm going to line it up at the side of the column, and then I'm going to line it up at the top of that text frame. Don't worry that they're really big. Just release and leave it alone. Okay. I'm going to do that again for the video. So I'm just going to go over here to my panel. I'm 018. I'm going to click that, bring it out. Once my computer catches what it is I'm doing, I'm going to line up the left side of those buttons with the guide, the column, and then I'm going to line up at the top of the text frame, and I'm going to let go of my mouse, leave it alone. Okay. These are all connected, and they're currently all selected together. So we're going to leave them selected. All right. If that did not work for you or you're struggling with it, let me know. Okay. All right. Leave them all selected because we need to resize everything together. We did this in we did this in lesson 8, no, 4. It was lesson 4. So this is going to be your, let me double check. Okay. So on the Windows machines, it's Control. On the Macs, it's Command. And we're going to hold down Shift. So it's Control Shift to Command Shift. I'm going to go to the lower right corner, the very bottom of this selection, all 3 of them. And so holding down Command Shift or Control Shift, I'm going to click and I'm going to drag this up until I get that green line that shows me that it lines up with this text frame. Okay, I'm going to do it again for the video. Just gonna I'm doing Control Shift. You're on a Mac, do a Command Shift, click, and then on the lower right corner, drag it up until it lines up at the bottom of the text frame, so that we're resizing. Remember the Command Shift or Control Shift. When you have objects selected, it's going to resize not just the frames, but the image or whatever's inside of them. Okay. When you're done, it should have the buttons lined up with the 3 options there. Okay. I should probably scooch ahead inside the actual book so that I know what I'm doing. This part is where I get a little lost because I haven't done radio buttons outside of the class. Here we go. All right, we got that. I wish I should. They would be really cool. All right, so we've got them scaled down. Next thing, we need to go ahead in our buttons and forms panel. We're going to open that panel up. That one I usually close if I have to go into the samples because the samples are pretty big. So when I have all 3 of them still selected, okay, when I go to buttons and forms, I see that this type is called a radio button. So this is where it's like you have a choice of 3, and whichever one you choose, the other 2 stay unselected. For the name, we don't actually want it to say R4, which technically is a Star Wars term. So we don't need that. Otherwise, Paul's going to get very confused. But what we are going to do is we're going to call this form of assistance. So this is called form of assistance. Okay. Form of assistance. We're not going to do anything else. I'm actually going to put the next one into the chat. Okay. We don't need to do, well, we're going to do something else. We're not going to do events, no actions. Under the towards the bottom where description is, don't forget, Blind Jeff's got to know what's going on. So for this one, I'm going to put it in the chat in case you want to copy paste. Oops. Why are you doing that? There we go. In what way are you best able to help? This way, Jeff knows that this is a question where you have some options. In what way are you, in which way are you best able to help? What way are you able to help? So this is interesting. It says, notice that type is already set to radio button because each circle is already set up as a radio button. By giving them the same name, form of assistance, you ensure that only one can be selected at a time. This is the key to setting up radio buttons. So if you drag more buttons in there or duplicate this, you just have to have all those buttons selected at once and make so that each one at one time is being named form of assistance or whatever you need it for. Like I said, they set this up to like be a lot easier than it first was. In fact, back in 2010, holy crap, this it was such a terror to do. I didn't even do this lesson. It was so horrible. Okay. And then for the button value, it's choice. We're going to leave that alone. So let's go ahead and do edit, deselect all. Oh, look, you can't do that. So the crazy thing is when you're inside this buttons and forms, you can't actually deselect anything if you're typing inside the, like for name and description. So when you actually get done typing, in what way are you able to help? Just hit enter. That solidifies everything. And then when you go to edit, you'll be able to deselect all. It's just something to keep in mind because when you go to deselect, it's going to be grayed out. And it's just because you have a cursor inside one of those two, the name or the description, and it just won't let you like out of that. Okay. Okay, so once we have that done, for that, we need to make sure that Blind Jeff knows what each button represents. So we deselected because these are technically three different objects. So we're going to start with our selection tool, the black arrow, and we're going to choose the first one, okay? Once you select that, over in buttons and forms, we're going to see it's a radio button. It's part of the form of assistance group event. We're going to leave that alone because on default, that's actually, it's already set up to react or do what it's supposed to do. We're going to look past that now. Where it says appearance, these are all the variations that they have. Like if you click on it, if it's been selected, things like that. What we want to do in this case is make it to where nothing is selected. So we're going to click where it says normal off. This is like your default appearance. So when somebody opens this PDF for the first time, they're going to see three selections and nothing is selected. So they can actually make a selection on their own. Okay. You can see for description, it says, in what way are you best able to help? So we have that. But at the very, very bottom, it says button value. So we have it set to choice. This is for each individual button. So for the first one, we're going to call it education. This way, when Jeff's little reader gets to that button, it's going to say that this option represents education. Hit enter for that. So that way we get that one knocked out. Okay. The second one, we're going to select that one. Again, you're going to see everything's pretty much the same, including the appearance. Past description, go to the bottom. This is going to be garden maintenance. So we're basically putting in there what's on the screen. Hit enter. Choose that third button, and that one's going to be financial donation. I'll give you guys a moment. Go ahead and type done in the chat once you get all three of those button values set. So that was a big thing. So now all three buttons are grouped together using the name. So form of assistance. But for each button, we want an individual value for each one so that Blind Jeff knows what's up. And so we did education, garden maintenance, and financial donation. All right, that way it's all set. Nice. This is why it took me 3 days because it's like this little bits of information that you have to put in there. But it pays off. If you do a lot of that work, it'll pay off. All right. Uthman, Jerry, let me know if y'all need a little help there. All right. Waiting on Uthman. Let me know if you got that, bud. All right. All right. Excellent. Like I said, this is going to be the time consuming aspect of it. Okay. But it's important to do it for a lot of different reasons. And part of that is because you got to think about people like Blind Jeff, but that name, the form of assistance, like that's important. And towards the end of the lesson, we're going to actually see how that helps us. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take a look at adding a checkbox. This is kind of the same process. We're going to go and grab a checkbox out of the sample buttons, and we're going to put it right next to the yes, I would like to receive your quarterly newsletter. Okay, and then we're going to resize it. So this stuff tends to be a little repetitive like that, but it's good because it's a good practice for right now. For this one, yeah, of course they put it in the pasteboard. It's like in the lesson book too. It's like on the pasteboard. That's so stupid. I want you guys to go into the little panel. So I'm going to go into sample buttons and forms. The panel's got the stuff for us. And then I'm going to grab, they want us to grab the 002 checkbox. I mean, if you want to grab that star, the 008, I don't blame you. So I'm going to grab that checkbox though. Just going to drag it over. Again, line it up with the gutter at the side of the column, line it up at the top of that yes, I would like text frame. Okay, we'll do that again for the video, just 002 option. Bring that down, line it up with the column, line it up at the top of the text frame. Remember, it is Control Shift or Command Shift. Grab the bottom right corner, and then we're just going to go until it lines up with the text frame, just to shrink that checkbox down. So again, Command Shift on the Mac, Control Shift on the PCs, and then click and drag until you can resize it with that text frame. All right. So once you get that set, we're going to look at our buttons and forms panel. So this is a checkbox, obviously. So it does have the type set as checkbox. For name, I don't know what C2 is, although it is also a type of droid in Star Wars. It's ironic. But for this one, it's going to be called Receive Newsletter. Receive Newsletter. All right. For event actions, we're leaving that alone. They want us to change from the check being shown to the second option, normal off. This way the person can select it. Okay. So we're going to change that appearance to normal off. For description, it's click here if you'd like to receive the newsletter. So click here if you'd like to receive our newsletter. We all already know the answer is no. All right. So this way Blind Jeff can know what the checkbox means. We're going to uncheck selected by default because I don't want to be a jerk. I hate places that like already have that checked for you. I'm like, no, don't make that selection for me. So we're going to uncheck selected by default. And then the button value is going to be set to yes. That's what I'm thinking it's telling us to do. All right. So once we have that done, we're good there. Go ahead and type done in the chat so that I know you guys got your checkbox set. All right, all stars, nice. Like I said, it's pretty simple, y'all. It's just a matter of a little bit of work. Okay. All right, so we're gonna take a look at this. Please send me your newsletter in the following format. So this is gonna be a combo box that we create. All right. So go, and this is actually the one where I'm going to show you guys how you would convert a text frame into some other type of interactive piece. So using our selection tool, the black arrow, we're going to select that text frame. One thing I also want you guys to notice are these little icons that you're seeing. I'm totally sorry I spaced out on this part. Look at the checkbox. You're gonna actually see in the lower right corner a little box with a check mark in it that lets you know that this is a checkbox. I think our radio buttons, because they're so small, or at least on my screen, if you look at the ones, oh, I could zoom in too. You can look at the ones at the pasteboard if you're zoomed out a bit, but there's actually like a little box and it's got a circle in there, but each one has that circle. That's not a button icon. We're actually going to convert that submit into a button, and you'll see the difference. But that little round button or round circle thing that's inside the radio buttons, that is the indicator for radio buttons. Okay. So each one of these has some different little symbol to let you know what it is. And it's a good idea just to, be the reason I point it out is that if you come in behind someone and they started creating a form, you can see what's what. Okay. So that's a nice little thing just to pay attention to. So we're going to take this text frame and we're going to convert this into a combo box with a taco and some nachos. I'm kidding. I'm not even hungry, but honestly, I could go for a taco. I can always eat tacos. All right. So go ahead with your selection tool, select that text frame, go to your buttons and forms panel. So when it's just a text frame, this box for type is empty. Okay, so let's drop down. This is what we're going to create. We're going to create a combo box. Okay, so go ahead. We're going to go down and select combo box. These are actually in alphabetical order except the PDF only. So it goes B, C, C, L, R, S, T. Kind of helps if you're looking for something. So we're going to change this to combo box. Notice the icon in the lower right of that box now of our what was our text frame that's now a combo box. It's that little arrow that we always see with these combo boxes. And yes, every time I go into something and I see this little arrow, I'm like combo box. So you're going to probably see them that way too. All right, so we've set this to combo box. For the name, they want us to call this newsletter format. So newsletter format. All right. We're not going to do anything on the event. We're good there. No actions yet. For description, this is going to be, oops, I jumped back too much. Here we go. Man, I'm just going to copy paste this out of the book. I'll put this in the chat too if you want to copy paste. I like hate having to type all the time and I have to do it at work anyways. So it's like, dude, why? Here we go. So I'm always happy to help out students. Okay, there you go. So at the bottom, we're gonna choose which way you'd like to receive your newsletter. There we go. Choose which way you'd like to receive your newsletter. All righty. So we are going to leave the printable checked. Okay. And even if you're still typing, you're fine. So we're going to leave the printable checkbox checked, leave everything else unchecked. The next thing we're going to take a look at is where it says list items. So this is actually where you're going to create your list. I'm not going to do what the book does. They does like these very, like, oh, print publication, standard mail. Like, no, we're going to type in our own things. So the first thing I'm going to type in is I'm going to type in PDF. Once you start typing in that box that says list items, on the right-hand side of it, there's a plus and a minus, and you're going to see the plus sign light up. So you can add things to to your list, but you can also remove them. Okay. So type in PDF and then hit plus. And you're going to see that it drops into that open space below. So this is where your list gets generated. Okay. The next one I'm going to do is I'm going to type in email. That what they want? Yes. And then I'm going to hit plus sign. And then I love doing this. I'm going to type in snail mail. I don't know if y'all have been watching the news about the whole postal service, but Georgia has like one of the worst issues with that. And I'm actually like really nervous because I have stuff going in and out. So I'm a little worried. But I'm going to type in snail mail because that's what I've always called it. And then, like, for example, if we select email, you'll see the minus sign lights up because you can subtract stuff out or delete things out of your list if you want. We're not needing to do that. There is a box that's a checkbox and it says sort items. If you check that box, it puts them in alphabetical order. What I also want to show you though is that you can actually click and drag. So when I first started teaching this lesson, you couldn't. You would literally have to delete stuff out and then retype in. So like the next year, they implemented this. So you can actually just click and drag to reorder stuff. It's just dependent upon what you want. I love the alphabetical aspect, but to be honest, sometimes they're going to want you to put something first because that's what they want the person to look at, or that's what they want it to be as a default. So that's marketing and how they deal with the psychological aspect of like how excuse me, how your viewers see something or chooses something. So yeah, I mean, you can put them in order that you want. I like to put them alphabetical personally, just makes it easy. And again, you can change the size. I think they actually, nope, they don't have it changed this time around. So we're going to leave those alone for the size. But yeah, so we have email, PDF, and snail mail. If you just put regular mail, that's totally up to you if you want to put that in alphabetical order. But there you go. So you can add all sorts of cool stuff in here. Okay. Pretty neat. And that's actually how you change a text frame also into one of your types of interactive form fields. So, you know, this could be a text field, a signature field, a radio button, so on and so forth. So, all righty. Now, because I know you guys are doing awesome and I appreciate you. So, why is like Paul super hardcore about naming things? So, we're going to take a look at that. Let's go ahead and do edit, deselect all. So if you actually, I ran across this and I honestly wish I could remember where it was because I've ran into it a couple times and I don't remember. If I ever find out, I got to do a screenshot or something. So I actually was online filling out a form and I can't remember where it was. But I think it was either late last year or earlier this year. But you ever been online and like you're typing in your information, like, oh, your first name, last name, phone number, address, you know, you're getting something. Well, you hit tab and it jumps to the next field. Well, that's actually called a tab order. And that's what the tab is. It's actually hitting the tab key. When you hit the tab key, what does it go to next? And that's where names become important. So I'm going to, the next step in the lesson is actually to show you how you can set that order. Okay. So we have nothing selected. And the reason I do that is just so the tab orders, it's right there. There's nothing selected inside there either. So we're going to open that up. That is actually a part of InDesign's menus. So we're going to go up to the object menu at the top. Go to the object menu at the top. You're going to go down towards the bottom. It's the sixth option from the bottom. It's above paths. It's called interactive. We kind of glanced at this the first day when I ran through the user interface. I hate going here for a convert button. I'd rather just go to that panel. It's so much easier in the panel. But the reason that I have nothing selected is so that set tab order is the only thing lit up. That way no one gets confused. So we go to the object menu at the top, go to interactive, and you're going to choose set tab order. So object menu, interactive, set tab order. It's a tiny little panel and you can't make it big. I'm really mad about that, honestly. But this is the name of everything. I don't know what text field 1, 2, 3, 4 is, but I know what city, state, first name, and so on is. I know what form of assistance is. The form of assistance are 3 buttons. Don't get them out of order. So leave them the way they are. When you're converting text frames or adding buttons and checkboxes to your document, everything goes on the bottom of this list. So you can see newsletter format, that's our combo box that we literally just made. Receive newsletter, that's actually our checkbox. Form of assistance, those are radio buttons, and then it goes into email, last name, and so on. So just keep that in mind that as you're building stuff, they're all going to stack up on the bottom of this. Now, our document, first name is the first thing they see. So we need first name to be at the top. You can actually drag and drop, which they did not have this about 5 years ago, again, but you can drag and drop. I sometimes just like to do move up. So we're going to make the very, very first thing first name, because in our document, it goes first name, last name, address, right? So that means that we also need to put last name in order. So first name, last name, address 1. That's actually kind of important. Address line 1, address line 2. So if you have multiples that you're doing that, you would do address line 1, maybe 1-1, or and then 2-1, and then 1-2, 2-2. That second number is what's going to tell you which group it's with. So we have address 1. I'm going to do address 2, city, state, zip, excuse me, email's last thing. Then it jumps to the radio buttons. Then it goes to the checkbox, and then it goes to the combo box. We're going to change that text frame that says submit into a button, but that's actually the absolute last step. So I want that to be the last thing. Okay. But that's why I say name things according to what they are. Because if you're doing this across like 8 different pages, you got to know what each thing is. And so naming things helps you out. All right. So we've got this first name, last name, address 1, address 2, city, state, zip, email, radio buttons, checkbox, combo box. So we're good to go. Let's go ahead and hit OK. So that's where it's really important on that part. All right. So the last thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to go ahead and convert that that submit button into an actual button. I'm going to type in the code or the email that we're going to use. That's because. All right. So looking at that text frame that says submit, this is actually a text frame. It's got that nice burgundy wine fill. Now I'm going to go have a drink after this because I see that. And then it's got white font, says submit. And then they curved the edges of the text frame. Remember, that's that yellow box. And so this is just a text frame, and we're going to convert it into a button. Okay. So in our buttons and forms panel, we're going to use the selection tool, the black arrow, to select that text frame. In buttons and forms for type, we're going to actually choose, where are you at? Button, the very top option. Okay. Notice the icon on it. It actually is a hand with a finger pressing a button. So that's the difference. Okay. That's the difference between like a radio button. This is an actual button icon. All right. So we got this thing selected. It's been converted to a button. For name, we need to change that to submit form. Submit form. Okay. And then put this into the chat as well. So for the description, because, you know, blind Jeff, what we want to do is we want to go ahead and type in, they want send the completed. There you go. Send the completed email via email. Send the completed form via email. Like I said, it's all about Jeff. You can't see. All right. So we got that set. The next part. So this is an actual button. I know some of y'all might still be typing, so don't worry about it. This is an actual button, so it's going to do something. So we have to give it an action, right? All these others actually, they just have a selection, but this is going to do something for us. So in our buttons and forms, we're going to look at the big box that says actions. There's a plus sign and a minus sign. Obviously, once you put an action in, you can take it out if you need. But we're going to hit the plus sign for actions. And there's a lot of really cool options in here. I kid you not, the interactive aspect of this thing is insane. To the point that you can actually create animations in here. I just don't recommend it because not a lot of people look at PDFs like that. But you can actually make it go to a specific website. You can change pages. You can make it go things called states. It's like if you stack stuff up, it's like a gallery kind of thing. You can make it play a sound or a video. You can make it clear the entire form out. You can make it make the view zoom in or zoom out. Like it's crazy. You can make it open a file. It's crazy, right? So there's so many really cool options in here. What we're actually going to choose is the second to the last option. It's called submit form. And so what this does is it's going to give us another option and we're going to tell it what to do. So you'll see that under actions in that box, it has a checkbox and it says submit form. There you go. But go ahead and look down a little bit and you're going to see a box that says URL. So normally, you can make it go to a website if you need it, for example. But this one we're actually going to do where it's going to go to an email piece. So if you've never done a like any HTML coding, you're about to learn your very first piece. I just put it in the chat. So there is a protocol called mail to, where the words mail and to are put together. It's all one. And then a colon, and then you type in an email address. I just do janedoe@colin.com, which is not even really a website. But that's your basic, that's actually going to be what we put as the, and I'm air quoting, URL. Okay. So for URL, you do that. I'm going to go over here, type in mail to. Come on. Just type it in there. Mail to. I've actually done this kind of like stuff before, a lot, like when I was in high school. And I'm going to type in com. Okay. So just so you know, like that HTML aspect, because I did this with a form where I was like, hey, um, let's have it sent to a specific email. So when they hit the submit form, it opens up their email client, if it's Outlook or Thunderbird or something. And then it's got a document, or it's already got an email set up. It's got the email address already typed in there, and then it's ready to go. Okay. So we converted this to a button. We called this submit form so that we know what it is. We did the description for Blind Jeff, send the completed form via email. We went ahead for the action. We said that when they click this, this is going to do a predetermined action called submit form. And then for the URL, we're going to have it go to an email address. And like I said, this mail to colon, that's actually an HTML code. It's a protocol that tells your computer that it's going to go ahead and open up an email client because it's about to send an email. And then it includes the email address. Okay. Pretty easy breezy, right? Silas, I see your mic is turned on. You got a question, bud?
No, I don't.
Okay, just checking. No worries. All right, so that's pretty much it. Like I said, with this lesson, it's kind of weird. And they're doing some other couple of things, but I'm not worried about those. Okay, so then we're going to go to the export. All right, follow me along because this is not going to be exported like a normal PDF like we did in the last lesson. Okay, so we're going to do something different. All right. Okay. Let's go. We're going to go to File. And then we're going to go to Export. It's like almost literally in the middle. Okay. File and Export. So I'm going to put this, I'm going to put it in lesson 14. That's fine. So for the save as type, or like how you're going to, the type of way you're going to save your file, go ahead and drop down that combo box. See, this is a combo box. So go ahead and drop down that combo box. You're going to see that it defaults at just a regular PDF, but that's not interactive. So I've made the mistake of trying to do my interactive PDF this way, and I'm like, oh crap, I totally forgot. So the very, very top option is interactive PDF, but I want to show you the other ones too. So below that, you have what's called an EPS. It's actually one of the early types of files for printing. It's called an encapsulated PostScript. And that you can do like vectors, logos, sometimes are saved in this type of file. Illustrator and Photoshop will open them, but Illustrator, this is one of their secondary file types to do. There are a couple of EPUB type where you can do like fixed layout or reflowable. So if you're doing like digital publications, that's something you're going to be interested in. This is where you would go. You can technically do HTML. I don't recommend it. You don't try to create presentations in Microsoft Word. Don't try to build a website in InDesign. Then you have your IDML. So this is your markup language type file. We saw in lesson 3 snippets. This is where you can export your document as a snippet. Just keep in mind that if you're going to end up doing snippets, they have to be the exact size of the document that you're creating. So it's a whole thing. Then you have your JPEG and PNG. So you can always export things just as graphics. And then XML. Listen, XML, like I told you before, it's actually a type of programming language for files. I don't use this lightly. Okay, because XMLs can crash a system or put viruses and stuff on there. So be very cautious, okay? But I wanted to show you the different types of layouts, specifically snippets as well as the EPUBs. But we're going to choose Adobe PDF Interactive. All right. I'm going to use the InDesign name as the output. I don't really care. This go ahead and hit save. This is going to open up another panel. So this is kind of similar to the PDF panel we saw earlier, but it's not. You'll see for viewing, mine defaults at fit page because I think once you select that, it will default as that. But just always, always do that. Save people a headache. I actually one time, somebody told me, they're like, "How did you get that to work?" It was someone I sent a PDF to, and I was like, "Oh yeah, it's a setting inside of the program." You will make people so happy if you just make that setting. Okay, so just keep that in mind. The other part, okay, so embed page thumbnails, no big deal. And then check for view after exporting. And then we're gonna leave the page transitions alone, but you can see there's different types of ways. It's a one-page document. There's no page transition. But this is where you can do some of these. It's actually, kind of a cool little thing. But let's leave that alone. We're not really going to do any other setting differences in here. So it's mostly just view, fit page, check the box for view after exporting and make sure that embed page thumbnails is there and then hit export. And it should open it up. And if it opens it up in Acrobat, everything will work. If it doesn't open in Acrobat, you just got to go and open it up in Acrobat. Once you have that done, you have everything there. I actually now have to switch over to Acrobat on my screen for it. So I'm going to share the screen. So there you go. I'm going to type in my first name, and when I hit tab, that's the tab order. So it's going to jump to the last name. So I'm typing my last name, my address, type in some stuff. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. And I can type in my address or my email. So as you sit there and tab around, you're going to notice that, you're jumping from section to section. I'm even going to type in, I'm down for garden maintenance. So I'm selecting that one. I'm going to check the box. Nope, don't want that. I'm going to uncheck it. And then I've got my drop down combo box. So I'm going to tell you to send an email because I really don't care and I want to save the environment. And then I'm going to hit submit. I don't have an email client on here because I don't use those personally. So I'm just going to hit cancel because it's going to try to create something. But there you go. That's your interactive PDF. Tell me if you think it's cool or if it's lame in the chat. That way I know you got your PDF done, okay? And that it worked. Isn't it though? Like, think about it. It's pretty cool. I want you to start thinking like, how could this be incorporated in something that I do? So, there's all sorts of cool stuff. You could do invitations this way, like an RSVP kind of thing. Like I said, I did something like that for the office, stuff like that. It's pretty freaking cool. Like, I ain't gonna lie. Takes a little bit of work, but it gets through there. All right. Let's see. Uh, no. You should, if you went through that export, you just have to go into Acrobat and then open up the PDF in Acrobat. Oh, you also may not have had that checkbox checked for the open after export, but you can find the file, right, Jerry? Like it created the PDF for you.
Yeah, like I did everything and exported it, and it's just showing. It's like a huge picture of the submit button and the PDF button.
Okay, wait. Let's close down your Acrobat, and then if you share your screen, and let's take a look at your InDesign.
Okay.
There's got to be a setting or something.
Screen.
That submit button, that's crazy.
Yes. All right.
All right, so you got everything there. Yeah, everything there on the screen looks good. So let's go to File, Export. For interactive, okay, so you're going to save it in your lesson 14. That looks good. Hit save. You got view after, fit page. Yeah, everything looks good there. Let's go ahead and hit export.
Pull it over so you can see.
Yeah. Zoom in, like the deals at the top. Yeah. Wow, that is weird. Oh, I know what's wrong. You're looking inside of a Apple Preview.
Oh.
Yeah. So close this down, and then go. Do you know where your Acrobat is?
I don't think do I have Acrobat?
You should. It gets installed standard. Can you go into your lesson 14 folder? Let's take a look at the folder.
Okay.
No, not from there. In your
Oh,
Finder.
oh.
The ones that are like on your computer.
Mm,
Yeah. Let's go look inside there.
no, sorry.
There you go. Okay. So yeah, you've got that export. Okay. So right click on the lesson 14 export PDF. Open with. My gosh. Hit other. You know what? I guess you don't have Acrobat installed.
Okay.
So, but once you install it, then go back and open up that PDF.
Okay.
Yeah, because everything else looked spot on for your export. So definitely go check that out. But that's it. That's the end of that lesson. Again, if you ever get in a spot, you're going to create some interactive PDFs. Let me know because it could be a lot, but it's not hard. There's just a little bit of work involved in it. Outside of that, that's the end of the lesson. And I'm going to go ahead and ruin your days. I do not teach any other class because I let the other instructors have their time to teach their classes. But it's something I thoroughly love. I think InDesign is severely underrated. And so I really enjoy creating, or teaching the lesson on a program and really helping y'all see that stuff. I'm hoping and I'm sure there is stuff that we looked at today that you would absolutely be able to use somehow, some way. Like even Silas, we mentioned like how you could create like a catalog aspect of that. Same thing for you, Uthman, for the designs that we looked at. And then Jerry, I know you're using this at home. So Cameron, I'm hoping that you can find something too to use. But if you guys ever have problems, questions, or whatever, shoot me an email. I get so wrapped up in so many things that just let me know, like, hey, I'm so and so. I was in your class, and boom, immediately I turn into teacher mode, and I'm like, all right, cool, let me help you out. Y'all, we're peers at this point. You're not really my students. So I've had students reach out to me a year or two later, which is questions or just asking things. Let me know. I'm happy to help out with that stuff. Um, I know that using the software is what keeps it in your mind. So if you forget things, if you downloaded the videos, reference those. But that's why I have you get the books, is because then you can go back, you can remember what we were doing, some of my stupid jokes, and then you'll remember like all of a sudden your memory will kick in. Okay. So, but if you ever need something, don't hesitate to reach out to me. If you have questions about design, if you want me to look at something and just get my opinion, I'm happy to do so, y'all. Okay. But that's it. Y'all did fantastic. If you have any questions, you need anything, I'll stick around for a bit too. But otherwise, y'all enjoy the rest of the semester. I hope you're enjoying your other classes. I know Silas had asked me last weekend about the summer classes. The catalog should be coming out soon. But you guys, if you ever need anything, don't hesitate to reach out. Okay. If you take off, I enjoyed you being in my class. Y'all take it easy. But if you have questions, stick around for a bit and I'm happy to answer anything you need. Okay.
Is the best way to reach you through the email that we've been using?
Yes. Yeah, that is actually my email. And if you ever forget, just go to pulsestrength.com and do the contact form. It actually sends it to that email and I'll immediately reach out to you. But yeah, that's the best that's the best way to get a hold of me is through that email. Okay.
All right.
Excellent. All right.
I'm downloading everything before I leave.
Okay.
If I again.
No worries. I did because of my Google Drive space. I had to take the first 3 videos down, but I know like y'all have been like probably the one class that I think everybody's downloaded the videos. So if you need them, let me know. I'll get someone to give them to me. But I have the last 2 classes up there, and then tomorrow I will adamantly put them up. And then and in the email, I'll remind you, but I'll leave those 3 up for another week. So next weekend, I have to take them down because it takes up too much space for me. Because I even did a logo for someone and I had to add all their stuff, and suddenly I got the warning sign that I'm running out of space. But y'all, please keep those files somewhere. But I will tomorrow put the video up for you. All right. All right. Uthman, I saw those designs, man. They look sick. I love them. I like the color choices you get too.
Thank you, Paul. I appreciate it.
You're
I enjoyed
welcome,
the class.
Jay.
All right, take
Absolutely.
care.
Let me know if you need anything, okay?
Will do, sir. Thank you.
All right. Hey, man, I'm gonna miss you too, but don't forget, I'm gonna be checking out for those designs. If you get something like somebody decides to have you design for something or put them on something, take a photo and send it, man. I really want to see where you take off and land, okay? All right, brother. Take it easy. All right. Hey guys, I really enjoyed you in my class. I love teaching this class. It's something I'm super passionate about. If you ever need anything, don't hesitate. One of the reasons that I do this is because I love helping people. So please, please, please remember you can go to paulstrength.com if you forget my email. Otherwise, it's paul.strength@yahoo.com. You guys be safe, enjoy your other classes, and hopefully we'll cross paths.